So, what do the ancient Roman Empire, the miracle of test tube babies, and rock icon Bob Dylan all have in common? Well, on the surface, absolutely nothing. But if we dig a little deeper into the historical record, it reveals this wildly fascinating pattern. See, all of these massive, world-altering leaps forward in human civilization happen to share a single, incredibly dense nexus point on the calendar. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're totally geeking out and decoding the calendar to figure out exactly why July 25th changed history. We're going to look at this one, seemingly mundane, run-of-the-mill summer day that somehow acts like a giant magnet for massive global shifts. If you've ever wondered about the butterfly effect or how the sheer massive scale of human civilization can produce these unbelievable historical overlaps, you are definitely in the right place. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with number 1, empires rise and fall. Then 2, sparks of innovation. 3, the evolution of conflict. 4, cultural shockwaves. And finally, 5, history in the making. Okay, let's dive right into this with part 1, empires rise and fall. We're talking about the shifting fortunes of leadership. Just look at the incredible macro-level changes of global powers here. Picture this, it's 306 AD, and Constantine the Great is proclaimed Roman emperor by his troops. This is the absolute rise of a historic regime that fundamentally reshaped Europe, its laws, and its religions for literally centuries. But then fast forward to this exact same day in 1943, and we witness a definitive collapse. Benito Mussolini is officially ousted from power right in the middle of World War II. It's the ultimate rise and the ultimate fall, sharing the exact same square on the calendar. And honestly, July 25th is consistently a day where the global map just gets completely redrawn. Back in 1261, Nicene forces recaptured Constantinople, which re-established the mighty Byzantine Empire. Then, in 1593, Henry IV of France publicly converts to Roman Catholicism, a massive religious pivot that instantly altered the entire balance of European power. Fast forward to 1957, the Tunisian king gets replaced by President Habib Bourguiba, marking the birth of a modern republic. Centuries apart, guys, but this single date repeatedly acts as a massive reset button for global leadership. Moving on to part 2, sparks of innovation. Let's look at some leaps in science and technology. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer whiplash of technological progression. In just a century and a half, human ingenuity accelerates at an absolutely blinding pace. We go from the demonstration of the very first constant electric light in 1835 to the first commercial use of an electrical telegraph just 2 years later in 1837. Fast forward a bit to 1909, and mankind is literally conquering the English Channel by air in just 37 minutes. And then we reach an entirely new frontier of science. Because on July 25th, 1978, Louise Joy Brown was born. She was the very first human born after conception by in vitro fertilization, or IVF. Think about that for a second. This single medical breakthrough didn't just rewrite the history books on modern medicine, it practically opened up the dream of parenthood for millions of families around the world today. It's a profound, game-changing shift in human reproduction, and it happened right on our calendar nexus point. Now let's transition into part 3, the evolution of conflict. From battlefields to digital transparency. Back in 1792, conflict meant overt, highly public threats. Enter the Brunswick Manifesto. This was a written proclamation promising absolute vengeance to the entire city of Paris if the French royal family was harmed. It is pretty much a textbook hallmark of 18th century brute force diplomacy. I mean, entire populations were directly threatened just to achieve a political goal. Now contrast that 18th century brute force with the Cold War era. In 1969, U.S. President Richard Nixon shifted military strategy entirely by laying out the Nixon Doctrine. Suddenly, the United States stated that its Asian allies had to manage their own military defense, which essentially began the Vietnamization of the war. It's a massive pivot, moving away from direct, hands-on aggression and shifting toward a modern strategy of withdrawal and localized defense. Let's move along and see how this builds, because conflict on this day really scales up and transforms through the eras. It shifts from physical displacement, like the heartbreaking deportation of the Acadians ordered by the British in 1755, to massive regional power struggles, like the start of the First Sino-Japanese War in 1894. But then, by 2010, the battlefield goes entirely digital. WikiLeaks publishes classified Afghan war documents, marking one of the largest leaks in U.S. military history. That event fundamentally changed how the public views and, frankly, consumes modern military intelligence forever. All right, part 4, cultural shockwaves.
nature's wrath, and cultural revolutions.
Amidst all this human scheming and innovation, July 25th also serves as an incredibly sobering reminder of nature's absolute veto power. In 1668, a massive magnitude 8.5 earthquake struck Shandong, China. It claimed over 43,000 lives. Just like that, in an instant, the geography and the future of an entire region were violently rewritten. It really grounds us, you know? It shows the humbling, devastating reality of natural disasters within the grand scope of human history.
But shifting to a slightly less geological scale, July 25th also managed to completely shake up the music world. It's 1965, and Bob Dylan steps onto the stage at the Newport Folk Festival, plugs in his electric guitar, and essentially commits folk music treason. People were absolutely shocked. It was incredibly controversial in the moment, for sure, but that single guitar performance permanently blurred the lines of rock and folk, and it sparked a massive cultural evolution for the 1960s.
And then, well, our cultural imagination decided to just leave the planet entirely. In 1976, NASA's Viking 1 orbiter took the famous Face on Mars photo. That single, haunting image captured our collective curiosity and sparked endless debates and science fiction stories. It's a fantastic reminder of just how much of the universe is out there, still waiting for us to explore. Which brings us to our final section, Part 5, History in the Making. The calendar marches on. So, the crucial point is this. Despite all the falling empires, the scientific miracles, and the cultural revolutions, July 25th is, mathematically speaking, just another day. It's exactly the 206th day of a standard Gregorian year, with 159 days remaining. It's really just one standard slot on the calendar, yet human pattern recognition and the sheer, massive scale of our civilization have loaded this specific date with unimaginable weight. Which leaves us with one big question. With 159 days left in the year, and knowing that a single random day in July can spark the rise of Rome, the birth of IVF, and a total musical revolution, what will July 25th change next? History isn't just something trapped in the pages of dusty textbooks. It is being written today, by us. So keep your eyes open, because the next massive shift in human civilization might just be a few calendar pages away. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we will catch you next time.